Welcome, everybody. My name is Bob Harrison, and I'm the Director of Sales for Ethosource Office Furniture. It's my pleasure to present our new Return to the Office web series, where I interview top industry professionals on topics of their industry post COVID-19 and get their take. Today, I am thrilled to be speaking with Frank Gallagher of the FGX Group, located in Wayne, Pennsylvania. Hey, Frank.
How are you, Bob?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to get out of quarantine and back to the office. So thanks for
I'm right there
taking the
with you.
time to answer some questions here as we're preparing to do that.
I
Uh,
appreciate you having me.
absolutely. Absolutely. Before we begin, can you tell us about yourself and your business?
Sure. So I'm with the FGX Group. We are a owner representation project management firm. We've been in business for 10 years, based out of Wayne, Pennsylvania. We do high-level project management work for our commercial real estate clients. We dabble in the healthcare space, industrial, retail, educational, K through 12, higher ed, mixed use, multifamily, as well as most of the other commercial verticals out there. We do renovation type work, ground up construction. We like to get involved early on with our clients so that we can help them assemble a high level conceptual budget, and from there slowly hire the project team members, bring on the architects, the engineers, the general contractors, and the rest of the FF&E folks that typical clients would have to hire directly. We help them manage a budget and schedule on their behalf. We also do cost estimating. And what that means is that we work with our architect and engineering clients by helping them put together some high-level budgeting for their clients. Many times, the architectural firms and the engineering firms have to bring on third-party cost estimators to help them put budgets together on behalf of the clients. So that's where we come in. We can put together, real simple, high-level conceptual one-page budgets, or we can come in during schematics or design development and help them with, really detailed breakdown estimating services as well. And the third thing we offer is bank inspection services. We work for our lending clients by performing monthly inspections, making sure that the general contractors are billing what was actually completed in the field, and we'll produce a report for our lending clients from there. So it's essentially a high-level overview of what we do.
Just a few things. Rather
Sure.
comprehensive, actually. And I know, having worked with you for some time now, that your clients are in great hands when they work with you. And how would you recommend, if someone's trying to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Sure. So, I can be found on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile, I think, is fairly active, that, anybody can find me on there. But a great way to get a hold of me is email or phone. My email address is frankgallagher@thefgxgroup.com. My mobile number is 610-331-6354. So any of those three means are easy ways to get a hold of me.
Perfect. Put it right out there. I appreciate that. All right,
Thanks.
let's get into some questions here. How are the projects you were working on before COVID-19 began being modified to accommodate post-pandemic safety measures?
Yeah. So, some of the verticals we're working on now, whether it's manufacturing or self-storage, those two have been keeping us relatively busy. To be honest with you, they or myself have not been affected just
Mm-hmm.
because of the nature of the projects. The locations where they are, the size of their buildings are such that, there's a lot of room to spread out. When you talk about, number of construction workers on site, there's enough social distancing that, there isn't an issue. Surely we're doing the PPEs and the safety precautions and all that stuff, but from a spatial perspective, I think we're okay there, as well as, what my clients do for their business.
Sure.
Unfortunately, they haven't been affected, with the pandemic yet. So, as a result, that, those particular projects have been, doing okay. We really haven't been affected, knock on wood, nobody's gotten sick on site. When it comes to other verticals such as corporate, certainly that's kind of come to a grinding halt. So those projects, I haven't seen any of those, move at all in the last, say 10 weeks.
Sure.
I had 3 proposals in the week before the pandemic hit. None of those projects are happening anytime soon. And I think, quite frankly, the reason is, the folks in the corporate world, we're still trying to figure things out, from the clients all the way down. Architects are looking at ways to help, clients, kind of redo their spaces to allow, the one person for 500 square feet, that they're talking about now. As you would know, redoing a lot of your, the furniture configurations, whether you're putting up screens and workstations or, moving furniture away from one another to give you, proper distances. Um, the corporate clients are talking about staggered shift with their employees.
Yep.
And quite frankly, most of the people I've spoken with, their employees are happy working remotely right now.
Right.
And I think it's a combination of things. It's, kind of a slowdown. They're spending more time with their family. They're enjoying that time. So right now, I think, the corporate clients are kind of taking the back seat and not making any final decisions right now.
Yeah.
That being said, I think in another 3-4 months, we're going to start to see a lot more changes in the corporate world as companies learn to see what's happening, get more information of realistically when the pandemic is going to come to a close. And I think, you're not going to have a lot of companies making final decisions until a vaccine comes to mind or
Right.
comes to play. So I think once the vaccine is here, then you're going to start to see some more permanent decisions. So for now, I would think the corporate clients are probably going to take the time to have their employees work remotely, assuming that their culture dictates it, right?
Sure.
If you can work remotely as a company, that's the best way to do it right now. And the other side of it too is employees. Employees, don't mind working from home right now, but most of the people I talk to want to go to an office. Whether it's 2 days a week, 3 days a week, or even 5 days a week, and there's different reasons for it. Whether they have young kids at home and they're not as productive, or what the case is. But I think ultimately most employees want to go to the office at least a couple of days a week. So from that perspective, companies will figure it out. But from the corporate world, it's going to take a few months until you start to see, I think, some final decisions come to play.
From an employer perspective, what are the key things that need to be done before employees can safely return to work?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you talk about, existing spaces, certainly the staggered shifts come to play. Whether you're saying, okay, these 10 employees go to the office Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then these other 10 go on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You might have some employees that would prefer to come in early in the morning and leave after lunch, and then maybe somebody else comes in after lunchtime. So I think you're going to have a lot of that, so that you only have X number of employees at the office at any given time. I know for a fact a lot of companies are only doing 1 or 2 employees at any given time right now because they're being very cautious. So I think you have that. I also think, obviously the landlords, really have been thinking about cleaning. So, if you're a tenant in the building, you're going to want to know from your landlord, okay, how can we make sure that, when my employees come back to the office, our spaces are clean and there's not a fear of picking up the virus. So, the landlord are having their cleaning folks make sure that they're cleaning desks, doing the vacuuming and doing everything they can to make sure that their tenants are safe. Another thing that's happening, I'm hearing a lot about, is the cleanable surfaces. You would know this more than me, but when you talk about workstations that have a fabric type material, I think a lot of that's probably going to go away. I don't know if that's a permanent thing, but for the foreseeable future. So certainly tenants and landlords want to have 100% cleanable, solid surfaces in their spaces, so that obviously the cleaning can get done better than they would otherwise. So I think it's just minimizing the amount of exposure for your employees if you're an employer, making sure that you don't have too many employees in one spot at any given time, making sure you're coordinating the staggered shifts, and then obviously communicating with your landlord until what kind of things you want to see, from the building's perspective, to make sure your employees are safe.
Great. That's correct. I agree. It's very interesting. It's absolutely interesting. Is this the end of the open office? If so, what replaces it?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is part of the discussion that tenants are trying to figure out, and another 3-4 months or so, they might have a little bit more information about it. But I don't think it's the end of the open office. I mean, I think going back to what I mentioned about having the vaccine, once we have a vaccine, I think, employers will know exactly what they want to do. But, I think the open office concept is invaluable for collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And, most of the companies we see in open office environments are collaborative companies, right? Despite the fact of what's happening right now. But, maybe on a temporary basis, open office areas are, either, reduced greatly or eliminated. But I think once the vaccine is here, I think we go back to it. Now, maybe it's not back to where it was, 6 months ago, in terms of, percentage of open office area versus, office area in a typical floor space. But, I think the open office area is not going to go away.
Okay. How will social distancing carry over into the amount of square footage a company takes?
Yeah, so I think there's certainly a balance with that. And, there's been all kinds of discussion about, okay, are tenants going to take less space now that, they can work remotely and they don't need as much square footage as in the past. But then you got to look at, all right, in the, recently, the design per square foot for an individual employee was, say, 175, 200 square feet, give or take,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now they're talking about one person for every 500 square feet. So, you have that balance. All right. So if I have 100 employees, I need X number of square feet, but I'm going to have, these people work from home, X number of hours a week. I don't necessarily need more square footage. I can get away with less square footage, but on a per person basis, I need more. So I guess the bottom line is, a lot of people are speculating right now. And again, I think everybody's still trying to figure this out from a corporate perspective, that it's going to be a wash. It's going to be net neutral. So, if you needed 50,000 square feet 3 months ago, and now you think you can get away with 30, I think it could work, especially if you need more space, on a per employee basis. But, that's just kind of some of the discussion I've heard recently. But again, I think it's not going to be really solidified, and people won't really know exactly what to do, at least for another few months, and certainly once the vaccine is here.
I agree. Big picture, what's the state of the market in the greater Philadelphia area?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's positive. More often than not, I'm a positive guy, right? But at the same time, I would say that cautiously. Right now, I haven't seen construction costs go up yet. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
stress the word yet. I mean, part of it is because the demand was just so high before the pandemic. A lot of those projects that were put on hold are back on now. They've restarted. I'm sure some of them haven't, but most people I speak with say that a lot of the projects have restarted. Some of those project types are multifamily. It seems like the multifamily mixed use is still going fairly strong. You have verticals like self-storage that seems to be doing okay as well. Healthcare, of course, they with the elective surgeries not being able to be done with all the healthcare providers in this area, they certainly lost a lot of money. But once things bounce back and they can have the elective surgeries again, they're certainly going to have the capital for projects again. So I think it's just a matter of months until we start to see the healthcare bounce back sooner than later. So right now, from the construction cost perspective, I haven't seen the numbers go up or go down. As a matter of fact, I've seen them go up a little bit, and that's just because of the pandemic requirements, PPE.
Sure.
Some of these projects, clients are requiring individual to be on site to take temperatures, to monitor social distancing. And quite frankly, these schedules that once were, say 12 months to do, particularly renovation projects, are going to be 14 months now.
Yeah.
So you're going to get these schedules that are stretched out. which are going to increase general conditions on the contractor's part, which is going to increase the overall cost of the project. So I would say, even though the 3-4 months, we're certainly going to see what's going to happen, at least for the foreseeable future, for construction costs, because now that construction's back online, at least in Pennsylvania, it'll be interesting to see what the client demand is going to be between now and the election. I could totally see kind of like a steady stream of projects happening between now and November, and then from there, who knows. But for right now, I think your general contractors, your subcontractors have been so busy up until the pandemic. Quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if a few of them were actually a little relieved to have a little bit of a break.
Right.
But the demand with the projects up until the pandemic, with some of them restarting, as well as the backlog of projects out to bid. A lot of these projects that hadn't started yet during the last 3 months. I mean, there was certainly a lot of projects out to bid in the near future as well. So, and then you can get into conversations like supply chains. I'm sure you're running into that as well right now. Getting, whatever you need, whether it's equipment, materials from overseas, that's been problematic, and that's been increasing costs as well. So I think, that stuff, as well as the pandemic requirements and supply and demand, that all needs to be shaken out in the next few months to really see where we are from a construction cost perspective. But for right now, I think it's fairly positive. Certainly the first 2 months of the pandemic, I certainly wasn't getting any, potential opportunities.
Right.
But honestly, the last few weeks I have been getting some calls about new projects. So that's encouraging. And, it's not in one commercial vertical, it's kind of spread across the board. So, and, many folks I speak with are saying the same thing. They're seeing, an uptick in opportunities the last few weeks. So, whatever that means, whether it's clients starting to realize that they still need to do their projects and they're tired of waiting and they want to get the ball rolling. So hopefully that continues. But, overall for right now, it's positive. As I said, another 3-4 months, it'll be interesting to see what we see then.
I agree. But optimism, hopefully that wins the day.
That's right.
What has your day-to-day been like in this environment?
Mm-hmm. No, it's a great question. I think it's all about balance. Fortunately, we have been not too affected by the pandemic, and I'll stress the word yet, but knock on wood, we've been very, very fortunate. And I think it's a result of our diversity in terms of what we do, the different types of projects that allowed us to, keep busy during the pandemic, where, some of the commercial verticals are slower than others. So the ones that they're still, kind of have a heartbeat, so to speak, are keeping us busy. So, between working, between spending time with my family, particularly my 11-year-old daughter, Brooke, as well as exercise. I'm a big proponent in exercise. Even before the pandemic, I try to work out, whether it's yoga, play soccer, go on a bike ride, hiking, whatever. I encourage everybody to do something at least once a day, whether it's 15 minutes, a half an hour a day. So I think the balance of keeping busy with work, seeing my daughter and exercise, it has been contributing to that. And with work, it's not only about, performing my daily duties for my current clients, but keeping in touch with people, reaching out to folks like you, touching base, seeing how everybody's doing, reaching out to people I haven't talked to in a while. I think, one of the silver linings with what's happening now is that you have a little bit more free time in your hands, that you can reach out to people you haven't talked to in a while. And it's
Right.
a good way to re-engage and make sure that people aren't forgetting about you. So I think a combination of all those things have allowed me to kind of stay busy, stay focused, and be okay with this whole thing. So.
Well, thank you very much for participating with this, and I appreciate your insights. Always great talking with you, and can't wait for this to be over with officially with a vaccine, and we're back to work in the office, and we'll catch up. I'm looking forward to it.
You got it, Bob. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.